Hello friends, this is Bilal Haider. In this video part we are going to learn about how can we remove an element from an array from at any index. Okay, so any element that we want to remove from index, we can use the same exact splice method and remove the element. So this part is actually going to take we'll remove the third input value from here because we are not inserting anything. We are going to remove an element. So what we tell this splice method that we are not adding an element, but instead we are removing one element from the index number 2. Okay, so if I save my code now and run it, you'll see that my index number 2 element, which was this one, is gone. Okay, so that's how we can remove an element from an array from any index that we want. So if we have an array of numbers, we can do exact same thing. We just pass in the index number and we pass in how many elements we want to remove from that point forward. So we are not limited to only remove one element from an array. We can actually remove more than one elements using the same method. So let's say I have a bunch of users here. For simplicity, I'm just going to copy my users here. I'm not going to bother changing the usernames. So if I save my code here, maybe I should just put one in front of the other elements so that we can see what's going on. So if I run my code now, you'll see that it will remove one element from the array because we made no changes to this method call. Okay, but if I instead passing 1, if I pass 2, so what's going to happen? It's actually going to remove 2 elements starting from the index number 2. So this is index number 0, this is 1, this is 2. So it's going to remove this element and it's going to remove this element. So it's going to remove these 2 elements from this array. So if I run my code now, you will see that these 2 elements are gone. Okay, these 2 elements were removed from my array. So this is very useful method, and it can help you remove any element from an array at any index that you want. So there is one more use case for this splice method, and that is replacing an element with a new element. So let's see how can we do that. So let's say if I pass in 1 in here and then I provide another username in here, and let me call it David, right? So guess what it's going to do? What it's going to do, basically, it's going to first go to index number 2, which is 0, 1, 2. It's going to Steve, right? And because the next argument is not 0, right? Sorry, it's not 1, it's not 0. Okay, so it's 1. So what it's going to do, basically, it's going to tell that I want to remove one element. So what it's going to do, it's going to remove the Steve user, and we are passing the third argument, so it's going to insert this this new user at the same spot. So what's it's basically going to do, it's going to replace the user Steve with the user David. Okay, so that's another use of it. So now you understand why we pass the second argument. The second argument basically tells how many elements we want to remove. So if we pass in 0 in here, that means we are not removing anything, but we are inserting something. Okay, if we pass in 1 in here, that means we want to remove one element, and we also have the third argument, that means we want to also insert a new element. So that's basically mimics as we are replacing an element. Okay, and we are not limited to just remove one element. So instead, let's say we want to remove two elements from this array and insert this new David element. So if I run my code again, right, you will see that it removed Steve, it removed Bilal1, it removed these two elements from the array, and it inserted David in there. Okay, so that's how we can use splice method to insert an element. How can we use it to replace an element, and how we can use it to just remove an element. Okay, so it basically has quite a few uses basically. So I guess this is all about splice method. In the next video part, we are going to learn about another method, so stay tuned.